My name is Tony Tuppen. I am the co-chair of Our Lady of Consolation's Black Culture Commission. I'm also the program director for A Sign of the Times of the Carolinas. And A Sign of the Times is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to keep the history and legacy of Africans and African Americans alive through music, dance, and spoken word. This program, Listen, is one of those innovative programs. And the intention, as I've written in the papers that you've had in front of you or that you saw in the emails, is simply to engage folks who may be in disparate positions on a topic. Or it could just be gender difference. It could be ageism difference. It could be racial and cultural difference. But the key word is difference. Difference. And finding ways to bridge that difference through conversation. And you can't have a conversation if you don't listen. So that's what this is all about. Helping people to come together with their differences and listen to understand. Not to change a mind, not to change a position, but to perhaps create an atmosphere of empathy so that you better understand the other person's position. And there's always growth in that. And we believe, at A Sign of the Times, that the world will be a better place if we do that. We start all of our programs with music. If you had a choice of color, which one would you choose, my brother? If there were no day or night, which would you prefer to be right? In full disclosure, I went to Catholic school a long time ago, 1st through 8th grade in a little town in Virginia. And I started Catholic school in 1958. The reason that this was so important to me is because as I talked to my friend Ann about my experience, I don't even remember how we got to the conversation, but as we talked, I realized that some of the experiences that her young children had were too similar to the experience that I had in 1958, and I desegregated the school. So now if some of the stuff that I went through, they're still going through, we need to have a conversation. Would you agree? Okay, so that's how this came to be. And we realized that sometimes, as in 1958, the teachers and the administration, and I would say even the priest, didn't have a clue as to what I was going through. Not because they didn't care, but because it wasn't a part of their experience and their thinking. Start with Tim and tell us why you left.
What made me leave was partially the fact that I got bullied quite a bit, half of which I would say was because I'm black. The other half was just a byproduct of who I am. I guess you could say that I was more of a nerdy type. I was black, but I didn't act black, the way that they thought that I should act. They often called me an Oreo, which is an insult to all black people, as it stands, and I hate that term. Because basically what it says is that you are intelligent and well-spoken. Those are qualities of white people. So you must be white on the inside and just black on the outside. You're not really black. That's what they would say. You're not really black. You're an Oreo. In terms of the education, it's what you would expect, purely Eurocentric in nature. to say that we spent months on learning about Europe and the foundation of the Americas. We spent a whole of about maybe 2, maybe 3 weeks where they like kind of crammed Africa and African American history just into this little thing where the only notable things that they say, oh, well, black people once were slaves in America, now they're not slaves, oh, look how far we've come, it's okay now. It's not.
So like I said, I went to Holy Trinity Middle School for 7th and 8th grade, and then went to Charlotte Catholic for 9th and 10th and decided to leave. And I think at the time that I was in 10th grade thinking about leaving, I think I was just kind of tired of the social system of Charlotte Catholic. Like little things have come home, but little things, I would be in class, and first of all, there weren't that many black kids at Charlotte Catholic, but I was kind of used to that, having gone through Holy Trinity with not that many black kids. But we would be in world history and starting the Africa segment, and our teacher, I distinctly remember our teacher had put us all into random groups and said, oh, the first people to label or as many countries as they can in Africa, like, we'll give some sort of extra points on an assignment or something. And everyone looks to me, like I'm supposed to know all the countries in Africa. And I remember Elijah was also in my class, and he was looking at me like, why everyone's like, oh, go, like, get the pen, go ahead. Like, so I was like, so definitely an issue with the education being very focused on things starting in Europe and then coming to America and not really focused on blacks that much. But also social dynamics were really hard. And then school in general was just hard, I'd say, just because it is hard going to school every day and not seeing that many people who look like you, or not seeing that many people who look like you, and no one's really making an effort to get to know you because of that. I will say, yeah, some kids didn't want to be friends with me because I was black, or had assumptions about me because I was black, so that was hard. And now that I'm at Howard, looking back on it, I realized, like, I think at the time I was like, oh, it's kind of rough, but it's okay. But looking back on it, I'm like, oh wow, like things should have been way better. Like the teachers should have been way better. Like the kids should have been way better. Like things definitely need to improve. So I'm glad that we're doing this panel, because I definitely think like the MACS system could be, it's a good system, but it could be way better. And it's not only for blacks, like she said, like for all minorities.
From 6th grade to 8th grade, I met really good people. I didn't have a whole lot of issues. I tried to have relationships with my teachers, so just in case I needed anything, it would really help. So my 6th through 8th grade year for me was pretty good. I didn't have a whole lot of issues. But I noticed when I got older into my 10th grade year, that's when everything changed for me. Reason being, one, Obama became president. They didn't like it. They hated it. And it would be times where me and my friends would happen to be in the cafeteria and they're mad, they want to say stuff. They were throwing food at one point, so we got fed up with it and we went to Randy Belk. He was the dean of students at Catholic, and I felt like I kind of knew him because my dad went, my uncles all went to Catholic, so he knew my family and whatnot, but he didn't really take any action to it. It was just like kind of avoided. So I was like, well, how am I supposed to avoid someone taunting me and saying certain things? Like I was actually old enough to vote at the moment. Then I was having like issues with the teacher. I had a certain teacher who felt like that certain black students couldn't do what she wanted us to do. We were very respectful. We tried to talk to her, try to meet with her outside the classroom. She didn't help, but she didn't really kill my whole entire high school experience. I kind of tried to avoid her. I mean, she got worse and worse as time went, but just like I say, I'm not a disrespectful person. I'm really calm. So my defense, all I had to do was go to Randy Belk. But I think one day I had actually gotten fed up with it, and we were in class, and I kept asking her for help. She wasn't teaching at the time, and I was like, can I get a little bit of help over here, because I actually don't understand, like I'm missing a step, so I'm a few numbers off. So she didn't want to help. So at the time, this is Catholic, they had just came out with these new laptops, I think my 10th grade year. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna search it on my laptop, see if I can get it myself. It was a bunch of other people in the classroom. Not saying they were all white, they were different. I had Chinese kids, black kids, white kids, but we were all in class together. Mind you, they all had their laptops out, FaceTiming me. Like, okay, we're in class. So I opened my laptop and whatnot, getting ready to search something for class, and she spazzes out on me. And I'd never had a teacher talk to me like that before, and I was like, what could this be about? And I was like, I'm just looking up math-related stuff. She was yelling and fussing. And I was trying to tell her, like, come here, I'm actually looking at math-related stuff. And she actually called Mr. Belt on me. Mind you, other kids in the classroom had their laptops out. So I got really upset, and just like I said, I'm not really a disrespectful person. I usually listen to all my elders and what they have to say to me, but she was like, get out of class. I was like, I'm not going anywhere, because I didn't do anything wrong. So Mr. Bell came and he talked to me or whatnot, but it was like, he took her side at the end of the day. So either way, I got in trouble for something that I didn't have any issue over. So when I started to tell my mom about some of the stuff that was going on, she was like, you know what, I'm ready to pull you out. And I was like, well, I'm ready to go because I don't feel like I'm liked here. Like, I have all these friends, and my thing is the teachers that I should be able to go to, I can't even go to because they're all against me. So it's like, it was teacher versus student, and everybody knows in that situation, the teacher's gonna win. So I just gave up and I was ready to go. So I left and I came to Northside Christian Academy, and I didn't have any issues there. So I really liked it, and I stayed and graduated.
I don't know what to say. There's some place that I don't know where it is where it says, the sins of one are the sins of all. And all I can say is that I am so sorry that you all had that experience in a Catholic Christian school. Did the administration know what was going on? I want to figure out where this can stop, because bullying still is going on. And it's just a cause for, it's just part of society. I have never heard that term Oreo before. And it stabs my heart.
Thank you. Regina, one of the things I want to say to everyone is to remember that this is a conversation. And I don't want you or anyone to leave or to go through the conversation with the burden of, no, I understand that, but with the feeling that you are looked to fix it. I think what's most important is that if the young people didn't feel that they had a place to go that was safe and that was hearing them, then the fact that you have now heard it can perhaps go back so there aren't other young people who are probably going through the same thing right now, and there's no one to hear them. Sometimes we just need to get our eyes open.
My boy's daughter graduated in 1990 from Catholic High, my son in 1993. They're all growing up. I'm hearing some of the same type of things that they have had experiences.
I was a member of the MACS school board for 3 years. And one of the things that I tried to focus on during that time was not only the issues that these guys have brought up, but also the diversity issue. Unfortunately, the priority of the MACS school board was not diversity.
My name is Kathy Dennis. I'm from St. Peter's, and I currently have a daughter at Catholic. She went to Holy Trinity, and I will say that it is not just a black thing. She has never really felt like she fit in, and she's as white as I am, white girl, blonde hair, blue eyes. And it's really been more of, I think, a demographic, just general demographic and socioeconomic stigma that she feels like she has to constantly defend.
I had a quick comment, then I have a question for them up there, but my comment kind of to follow what you were saying is that we started worrying about leaving our kids in Catholic school because we thought it might drive them away from their faith. And I distinctly remember, I don't know if Timothy remembers this, but I remember when he came home in 6th grade after going to Holy Trinity. They had been in Montessori school until then, which is very kind of open, accepting, loving. They teach kindness, respect. We assumed that those same characteristics would follow in Catholic school. I remember he came home from Holy Trinity after being there maybe a month and said, these kids in Catholic school are the meanest kids I've ever been around in my life. And I thought, you know, this is why you see people as young adults who leave the faith. One of the reasons, to say how hypocritical to sit there in a school where they talk about kindness in Mass, and then the kids turn around and are mean to each other, and teachers turn around and treat kids in a way that's dishonest.